Hi, Professor McCullough here. Today we're going to talk about scatter charts. And what you have in front of you is a scatter chart. Scatter charts are used to illustrate relationships between two different data fields. And we have two data fields here. On the x-axis, we have the year, and on the y-axis, we have the revenue in terms of millions of dollars. So what this is really showing is, is there a relationship between the year and the revenue? In other words, is there a trend that's happened with revenue over time? And this line here is called the trend line. Obviously, if you put a trend line into your scatter chart, it can tell you things like what would we expect the revenue to be in the future if present trends continue. So what we're going to learn to do in this video is how to take data and turn it into a scatter chart, and how to put in a trend line, and how to project that trend line into the future. Okay, let's go to our data. We're just going to recreate the chart that I just showed you. And we have, in column A, we have the year. In column C, we have the millions of revenue. These are obviously the fields that are going to go into our chart. So we need to select on both of them. We click on year, do Control Shift down. Now we have that column, and then we keep our finger on Control. Click on revenue, we do Control Shift down. Now we have both columns. And now we can go to, of course, Insert, Chart. And there's our chart. This one with just the dots is the scatter chart. Click on that. Let's keep it simple. Go with this one. And there it is. We've already created it. Here's the year and the x-axis. Let's go ahead and add, as we always should, we want to label our axes, so we'll take a moment to do that. Let's do axis title. We want horizontal axis. Call this one business year. And we want one over here as well. Add chart element, axis title, primary vertical. And we'll call this one revenue in $1 million. Always important to put your units, what you're talking about. And our title should be revenue trend, because that shows what we're trying to illustrate here. What is the trend of revenue over time? Okay, we need to put a trend line in. That's the line that will help us to see what this relationship is, help us to put some mathematical equation on it if we so choose, and help us to forecast into the future. So let's go ahead and go to Add Chart Element. If we go to the bottom, here's trend line. We're going to start with the linear trend line, which means there's a linear relationship between the time and the revenue. The revenue is going up by some fixed amount every year. So we put that one in. That's what a linear relationship would look like. We're not going to worry. In this class, we're not so focused on which of the trend lines, what the trend lines mean, and how you would decide on which one you should use with a set of data. For now, we'll just be satisfied that if we're told to put in a linear trend line, if we're told to put in a logarithmic trend line, we want to make sure that we can do that. So we have this trend line, and we, as the assignment asks us to do, decide that we need to put in a logarithmic trend line. We can click on the trend line and go over here, trend line options. We can go down and change it to logarithmic, which doesn't look different at all, really. Logarithmic is a set of data that kind of starts off increasing dramatically, and then it doesn't increase by as dramatic a rate over time. So that's probably a slightly better match than the linear depiction of our data was. But in any case, we were asked to go with logarithmic, so that's what we do. We won't worry about it any further than that. The other thing that we're asked to do is to forecast this. So if we were this business owner, and all current trends continue, which is of course a dangerous assumption, but we wanted to know what revenue would look like over the next 5 years. Then we could again click on a trend line, get our trend line options, and if you scroll down further, we can forecast it forward 2 periods. Periods in this case means years, and we just put 5 there. And then we see that the line continues 5 years beyond our last data point. That's it. That's how you do a scatter chart. It's how you put a trend line on it and how you forecast that trend line into the future.